Good afternoon and welcome, Gutman Grizzlies, to your weekly program, State of the Grizz. We're bringing you another exciting episode, episode 8 of State of the Grizz, going strong. Who knew that we'd be going this long? But you know what? We're going to keep the magic flowing. This is your weekly news source for updates and all things Gutman, all things Grizzly, all things coronavirus, or as the great Cardi B would say, coronavirus. Um, Today's a special show. We have a wonderful guest in the form of Dr. Marcus Allen. But before we get to our esteemed guest, I always have to introduce my very gracious co-host and partner in crime, Dean of Student Engagement, Charles Pryor. Dean, how do you find yourself this lovely Wednesday afternoon?
Fantastic. You got to take the rain with the sunshine. So I know it's a little rainy today, but we had 4.5 wonderful days of sun. So I welcome it, and I welcome you to, as Nestor said, the 8th week of the State of the Grizz. It's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to do this show, but most importantly, it's absolutely an honor to serve as the Dean of Students Engagement at Gutman. There's my 5-year-old photo. I've got a few more gray hairs since then, but thanks for sharing that, Ness. And as Nestor said, we are glad to have Dr. Marcus Allen, Professor of Political Science, and our Director of our UMARC program as a guest today. But before we get into the conversation with Dr. Allen, I want to just, go through a few things as usual. And as always, I want to
Oh,
thank the Office of Student Engagement as, our heart photo is posted up right now, one of our heart photos, because we had quite a bit of staff dedicate a few minutes of their time uh, to show you guys we care to support you and we got your back. So thank you to them for the wonderful job they're doing, staying safe at home, but still working to support the office, but most importantly, working to support our students. Um, on behalf of Gutman, I want to thank all our first responders, all of our students that are, and other folks that serve as first responders, and also those that are essential workers. The only way that we can get through this is together, and the jobs that you all are doing just really propels us and prepares us to beat this thing. As I said on May the 4th, teamwork makes the dream work. So thank you for all that you are doing. And I just want to take a moment to send a special shout out to our own public safety officers who are holding down the fort, literally, at 50 West 40th. Thank you for keeping our facility safe and ensuring that the facility is getting the once over that it needs so that when we do return to the building, we're stepping into a safe environment. Also, just as a reminder, I want to remind all students that, finals are coming up. And I'm sure Dr. Allen will talk a little bit about preparing for that, but I want to remind students that computers are available. And I hope that you'll take the opportunity, if you need one, to make an appointment to get one now. And if you are struggling with getting connected to the internet because of, the bandwidth issues or whatever, reach out to us, and we're, trying to work through some solutions to help students get connected to the internet if you already have a device. Another important thing that's always on my mind is Sga Elections. There are a slate of well-qualified candidates that are available for you to vote for. So please take some time between now and May 15th to go ahead and vote and have your voice heard, and let those students know that you're in them and that they're going to be your representatives in the next year. My last thing for now, and one thing I want to push, is registration opens on the 19th. And, want you all to begin, planning for your fall and getting prepared to continue your education at Gutman Community College. If you have questions, please reach out to your advisors. Please reach out to people in my office. Reach out to your faculty. Reach out to anyone that you have a relationship with and feel confident and comfortable communicating with, and we'll hook you up with the best information that we have available to us about what the fall is going to look like as a university, and the college is still trying to figure some things out, but the schedule is available, and we want to get you connected and plugged in. So that aside, want to make some room to again formally introduce Dr. Marcus D. Allen. You got to say the thing like a Tribe Called Quest. He, as I said, serves currently as a professor for political science and also the director of our UMOC program, which stands for United Men of Color, which is Gutman's Black Male Initiative. But the program serves all students interested in mentorship, academic support, and most importantly, leadership and an opportunity, again, just to build relationships with a cohort of leaders, mentors, and scholars who want to see each other succeed. So Dr. Allen, thank you so much for coming in on the show today. Please share some wisdom with us.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Dean Pryor. It is a pleasure and an honor to be here. I appreciate the invitation to talk to you about faculty-student engagement, and I'll also give you a little foundation of what's going on with UMOC as well. To all the Grizzlies out there, I hope you guys are holding strong. Just know that we care and we love you, and that we're here for you. So don't feel afraid to stay out, and contact us, because we're here. We're all a one big happy family, and especially in this time of a pandemic with a crisis, we definitely have to lean on each other. So we don't have to get through this by ourselves or alone. So the faculty, student engagement, I first want to say that, it's been really challenging, I think, for all of us to make this sort of sudden transition, in terms of distance learning, but what I've been really proud of mostly is how fast the faculty and how fast students have actually, I think, risen to the occasion and made the adjustment, and even in spite of all the frustration of trying to understand how this thing works. And it's really important. I think one of the first things I want to say about the faculty-student engagement is really that we need to be patient with each other. We are in a new age with new technology. We have different platforms that people are sort of comfortable with using. My hope is in the fall semester that will sort of trim down to either just one, and I think it will, to help us with managing our courses, especially over the summer. But be patient with your professors, and your professors will be patient with you. I know one of the steps that I've done to sort of help our students, I had a wellness check about 2 weeks ago with one of my classes. And I think it's important that I think we need to check in on each other, your peers, check professors. It's not always about talking to your professors about, coursework. I think, when I receive an email from a student saying hello, or when I actually schedule research conferences for the capstone class, I am delighted that we have a small level of engagement to talk about our shared experiences or what's going on in our lives and our families. So just understand that, part of this process requires us to sort of be engaged, because, I had 3 sessions with one of my classes, and all of a sudden it was gone. But I'm very thankful that those 3 sessions I had have really, I think, created a great bond that I still enjoy with many of my students in both of my classes. So I want to talk a little bit about, I want to give a shout out first, I think, to is Teacher Appreciation Week. And I think this is a good time. I think, it was interesting that I was invited to come on. I don't know if that's, the, what is it called? The force, stepping in and creating the synergy for this to occur. But I want to thank Professor Camilla Harris, Camilla Harris, yeah, Camilla Torres, for actually reminding us about the fact that it was Teacher Appreciation Week. Right now, there's a lot going on, and sometimes teachers are often overlooked. But understand that in that Teacher Appreciation Week, it's also about how we appreciate you as students, how we appreciate your investment in your education. We appreciate the maturity that you are actually handling this situation. We are very proud of the fact that many of you are first responders, you are endangering your life, but you're still managing to actually keep up with coursework, and actually quite good coursework. I've been really proud of my students for what they've done so far in terms of their work. It's like really been amazing, like this level of engagement and the quality of their work. Let's talk a little bit more about this. So we know that at this moment we are in this distance learning, and as this is, all of us are learning as we're going. It's almost like we're sort of building the plane as we're flying it. But understand that there are different ways in which we can talk to each other, and I think that's really important to maintain that kind of contact. And one is email. It is so important to send professors emails if you have any kind of question, if there's any kind of confusion about anything. That's our first line of communication in this kind of environment. And I know students are getting a ton of emails every day, and you might be like overwhelmed. Like I being emailed out in the same way that I think I'm sort of zoomed over Zoom, because of all the Zoom meetings. But another thing, this is another way to keep the community together and keep our relationship going. It is really amazing that you can still build a strong community through online communication, as I think as the college is engaged in now. One of the other ways that I would like to encourage students in terms of how we're going to keep continuing building this relationship is through, Blackboard. Right now we're actually facilitating this conversation through or Collaborate. It's a wonderful tool, and it's also Zoom is another sort of way in which we can sort of do this. So just think about the fact that your professors are here, ask us anything, and I know most of us will try to respond to you within a short period of time because we understand that there's moments of anxiety related to this. I know I try to respond to my students at least within 24 to 48 hours, if not sooner. But also we need to find out, and I think make an adjustment that we need to turn off, students sometimes. Turn off and being a professor or a staff member or a colleague, right? Because I think part of this also is understanding we're still people. We have lives. And our lives really must continue in the best way possible to remind us to understand and appreciate this moment that we're in. I've had to adjust to that myself. I'm used to working well past 7, 8 o'clock at night. But now, because I'm always home, I have to cut it down at 5 for the most part. Now, if there's an email or something that comes in after that and I see it's urgent, I will respond. But the thing is, maintain some time for yourself. Maintain some time for your families. Spend some of that quality time nurturing your relationships. And also, I think one of the most important things that I've communicated with students in UMOG is maintain your friendships. Just because you guys are away from the campus does not mean you can't continue to grow and nurture your relationships with your peers. And I think, that's one of the important things about our cohort model that becomes really successful, because students build that relationship very early in the first semester, the first year, and they continue that relationship in their second year. I have some students now who are actually human service majors, and they're actually in my American government class, and they're communicating with one another about faculty support. There are some students in UMOC who are also human service majors, and what they're doing as well is using this as a way to facilitate that relationship and helping each other out on, understanding what's expected of them in terms of how they're trying to actually get their assignments done. So be mindful about those things that are really important. Now, your education is important, but the relationships that we develop and that we maintain, these are the things that give us these are the things that are most important, and they also give us the most fond memories that we can sort of respond and recover in moments just like this. I'm really thankful about my relationship with my colleagues. I've called them, we video conference. Dean Pryor and I have had, lunch engagement meetings, over Teams, eating our sandwiches and talking and catching up. And honestly, because I can't, rap with him face to face, that's the best thing I can do right now. And honestly, we're still enjoying it because it reminds us about our serious bond that we have with each other. I also just want you guys to know that faculty really care about you. Gutman faculty have done, I think, an amazing job in supporting each other in this moment. There's a Facebook group that we discuss issues and we share information about online teaching, how to communicate with students. in this moment, because I think all of this is something very, I mean, clearly it's something very new to us. So just know that your faculty are really committed to your education and to helping each other, as many of us are new to this kind of online environment. It is interesting with this online environment for sure, but we can still maintain those relationships. I think it's also important to think about what faculty are doing as well. We know we have a lot of students who are recently lost their jobs, and CUNY is certainly really serious about trying to help find ways to employ students and help those students who have, don't have jobs. So just make sure that you contact the right officials, the prior's office, or any other office on campus, that if you need some kind of support finding a job, that those resources are actually there for you. I want to talk a little bit about, actually no, let me go back here. One of the important things that I know I've done with students, and it's been hard to make this adjustment, I think sometimes, is giving a lot of feedback on your assignments. I've read a lot of students' papers, and I managed to give them some really great responses, at least not all the time, but I think it's important that faculty continue to provide some kind of notes to students. I know after this, I'm going to go to Starfish and send some kudos to some students because of the brilliant work that they've been conducting. So these are the ways in which we can use to maintain that really great bond and that we can continue to move forward. I want to talk to you guys a little bit about UMOC and what UMOC is doing. I must say that I've been really amazed with the level of engagement on the online platform that we're using called GroupMe. I want to give a shout out to all the staff members of UMOC who are doing an awesome job, but I particularly want to praise Jose Hernandez and Ronnie Concepcion for doing a brilliant level of engagement and keeping a really positive, nurturing relationship going on in the GroupMe conversations. Students from the first day have been talking a little bit about the coronavirus itself when we sort of transition, about all the misinformation that's actually out there and how they're trying to make sure they keep themselves informed. They've talked a little bit about, there was this Science VS podcast, for example, that one of the students, I think it was actually Jose, who suggested to find information that's really important. They've also been really actively engaged in supporting each other in their classes, giving kudos, encouragement when students don't have, when people are not motivated. And trust me, all of us who are on distance learning right now, including staff, we're all at some point struggle with the idea of motivation in this moment because we're all confined to our respective places. This is normal, but it's something that as a community, we can certainly, I think, rise to the occasion and sort of get through. So just be mindful about that as well. The conversations they've had. I'll definitely one of the comments. I have to go back and read that comment. I didn't see it really quickly. But again, I think this is the part about being patient with your professors, because Blackboard and making this. A lot of professors may not have used Blackboard. They have used Digication as the platform, ePortfolio, and so a lot of times I think what's happening, professors are also getting used to trying to understand this new modality as well. So if there's an issue with finding an assignment, please send an email to your professor. They won't bite you. I think they'll be encouraged by the fact that you reached out to them, because honestly, it makes me feel good when students contact me. It doesn't make me feel good when they can't find something, but this is also a learning experience for us too. So when we begin to transition more to the online environment for the summer, for example, we have picked up a lot of important tips and have made a lot of important lessons that will actually help us facilitate, asynchronous learning over the summer. As the Dean prior mentioned, we don't know what's going to happen at Gutman in terms of the fall semester, but we do know this. Faculty and students both will be much more prepared for fall classes online if by chance we happen to go there. It's really important, I think, right now for us to, I want to take, have a slight tangent. Um, there are testing sites that are popping up all over New York City. And I think it's important that, we should also make sure that we're going to get tested to see whether or not we have the antibodies for COVID-19. Now, granted, it does mean we still have to be really careful and vigilant in making sure that we wash our hands and do those things that are proper. But part of that personal health to yourself is also it's also helping out the community. This disease has been ravaging, communities of color. We were talking with Nestor about this right before everything started. And we have to be more mindful about this and help educate members of our community about what these things are and the potential impact. It is okay to be afraid in this moment, but fear should never paralyze you. I think part of this is getting as much information as possible and doing the research necessary so we can sort of do this together as a community. So again, just be mindful about that. I also wanted to give a shout out to you, Mark, about what we're doing too. Jose has been really awesome in finding these really powerful YouTube videos about staying motivated, because that's one of the sort of key factors that's out there, right? Staying motivated. So one of the ones that he first identified was On Your Grades, a powerful study motivation. On your grades. You guys are still smart. You guys are still brilliant. You guys are just in a very different kind of environment. Don't let the change of the modality affect how you see yourself as a student, as a scholar. It's just very different. And don't forget to use the online resources. We have a great academic support system for you guys through ASC, regular tutors, and also through UMOC. So again, just be mindful about those things that are actually there to support you. And we have also continued on Monday Motivation as well. Motivate each other. This is the best way, I think, in my opinion, that we can truly understand what it means to be part of a community and valuing that community even more so now because we are apart from that community. So whenever we have that face-to-face interaction once again, let's make sure that we continue to respect each other despite those differences. We can disagree, but still have love for one another. And I think that's one of the things that I hope that we learn as a nation moving forward with this particular moment right now, because that's not what it seems like what we're doing as a nation. But we can be very different than a nation. As one of my fraternity brothers recently said, you have to step outside the herd and be that particular person, right? And so also understand that you guys are leaders. And as a leader, you have to take on a certain level of responsibility. And you lead by example. That's the best way for us to lead. If I see you doing it, yes, sir. Go ahead.
No, I'm about to say absolutely. I think that's one of the reasons why we started this. Trying to be an example that this medium, the virtual environment, is not like you said. And I love one of most all of your points, but there's some that stuck out to me more than others. One is that this is not just about being in class, that we can leverage these spaces to connect with other people. And while it doesn't equal the in-person conversation and connection, there is opportunity for engagement and conversation. Like you said, we were talking that day, and we probably had a 5-minute conversation about the construction of sandwiches. You know what I mean? Which is fun and but it more importantly, it was like just a real human conversation. It's something that you might talk about over lunch with the colleague. If you were on campus together. Oh, what'd you bring for lunch? Oh, this is what I brought, and here's what I was doing when I made it. I mean, and that's really what broke out in those, few moments of that phone call. And I think it's something that, again, is not the same as in person, but it is a viable and important replacement during this time.
Dean Pryor, I mean, it really is. I had a video conference with a student before, coming on here today. And, many students are sort of reluctant to show their video. Don't be reluctant when you have these Zoom calls to show your video. We are happy to see your face. In fact, we want to see your face. We want to hear your voice, because this is the kind of personalization and sort of being in touch with humanity that we can do right now that actually safeguards ourselves and our respective families. As I look at Dean Pryor, as I look at Nestor, I'm like, you know what? I see these faces. I saw these faces for years, and I see them right now, and it's good to see each other. Because it's really about understanding that that old African proverb, I see you, right? And I hear you. And so don't alienate yourself because you are uncomfortable with certain things. I think sometimes we have to really place ourselves in a position to move outside of our comfort zone. And
Right.
so I'm really mindful about this.
Yeah, and like you said, none of this is normal, but there will be a new reality, is, really what I was hearing. I think back to other just events in time and how much of what we do as conducting business is really going to change. You know what I mean? There was once upon a time, in order to sign something, you had to print it, sign it, scan it, and send it back. That's just not the case anymore. Technology has really evolved and become more accessible to folks. So I appreciate the advances and how that has made some things a lot more possible, but also appreciate what you said and something that we've shared here. We're all learning. If you had told me in February, not January, not 5 years ago, but in February of this year, that I would be leveraging and using Zoom, you know what I mean? Or that I would actually understand what WebEx is and how to work Teams and to schedule a video call and to be able to troubleshoot those different softwares 500 miles away so that I can communicate with my dad, who's 72, and with my sisters and all, you know what I mean? That I would be that proficient, that I could troubleshoot over the phone those different softwares, I would have called you a liar. But because these are things now that are part of our everyday lives, we're just more proficient. But we also see the value, I think, also of the personal connection, especially with regard to education. So when you talk about wanting to see students' faces and things like that, that warms my heart, and I hope the students hear that. And even like you said, maybe they don't want to share their video because of things that are on the ether, that is their home situation. At least maybe they'll share their voice so that they can be heard, if they're not always in a position to be seen. You know what I mean? Because there's value, I think, also in that, because their voices are powerful, and we want to ensure that they know the power in their voice, and of their words, and the value in who they are and how they show up and contribute to the learning in those classrooms, and also in the engagements that a number of officers and co-curricular and extracurricular, because we all have something that we can bring to the table. But I think the student voice, especially today, is so extremely important. So thank you for that. So really quickly, Dr. Allen, give us one more thing that you want to share with students, as we, kind of transition to a couple of other things before we close.
Okay, the one thing that I would say is register to vote. This is the most important election in our lifetime. It's important not just because of the presidency, it's also important because of the census count that is up right now. If you have not received or filled out your census form, please do so. I was at a seminar, a workshop a few weeks ago about Harlem, and that only 60% of people in Harlem filled out the census form. And we only received 60% of the dollars, but the community spent it as a whole. So be mindful that it's important to count. There are two groups who are largely undercounted in the census: Black men and kids under 5. So just make sure there's revenue with this. So exercise your right as a citizen, as a person who's active in this community, to make it better.
Thank you for that. Those are, important things that we speak on each day. Like you said, register to vote, the census, all those things. Step up and be counted. So that we can have and make an impact on, like you said, this coming election. one of the things that I was reading is that Ruth Bader Ginsburg is ill. Um, and so, depending on what happens next with her health, this president or maybe the next president will be picking a Supreme Court justice. That's huge. And one of the huge swings of power with regard to different policies that we know that this current administration has challenged, that the previous administration had put into place as protections for those that are citizens and those that are undocumented contributors to this nation. So it's extremely important that folks get involved and get engaged. So again, thank you, Dr. Allen. I really do appreciate and energy and coming in here today. The talk was awesome, as we thought it would be, and I think the most important thing that I hope students walked away with was that the faculty not only care about you as scholars, and this is to the students, but they care about you as individuals and leaders. So I hope you hear that. I hope you heard that, and going forward, I hope you engage in a way that empowers you, but connects with your faculty, because they got your back as well. So thank you, Dr. Allen.
Well, thank you, Dean Pryor. My pleasure.
No problem. Nestor, what do we got for the good of the cause? I know we got a number of events and activities that are coming up over the next days. We got student recognition awards. We got salute to graduates. What you got on the plate?
All right, you stuff at me, and I want to make sure that we get this stuff to the audience. So first and foremost, Dr. Allen, thank you for dropping knowledge as you always do to us. And then here we go, in no particular order, because we want to get this stuff to the people in the way that they want it. Everyone is invited to the Gutman Community College Student Awards and Recognition Ceremony. This is Thursday, May 14th. That's 1 week away, from 3:15 to 4:30 via this application, the Blackboard Collaborate Ultra. We're going to make this link available via the website to everyone who wants to join and come in and celebrate with us. This is where we're honoring graduating students who have done well academically, students that have demonstrated exceptional leadership. We want to honor you in the best way that we know how, considering that we can only do it virtually. Continuing the trend of virtual celebrations, we're going to also highlight with this next flyer the Salute to Graduates virtual ceremony. As many of you are aware, the central office of CUNY has decided that there will be no physical commencement ceremony, but we still want to do our best and our part to honor the accomplishments of our students. And so the Salute to Graduates on the day that the commencement was originally scheduled for, which is Friday, June 18th, we're going to be hosting another ceremony, and we'll be getting that information, the specific links, out to students. But we do want students to go ahead and send us a photo and a short bio for inclusion in the digital program book that we will be creating, and that's going to be shared during the virtual ceremony, as well as eventually make its way into a hard copy for everyone so that we could have that for them. We've been doing this every day, SGA Live. I say every day, every Tuesday and Thursday. We've created this program where the Student Government Association is getting together and presenting to the students. And so tomorrow, SGA Live will feature your treasurer, Clarissa Intriago, who's going to be talking about the differences in the American education system and the international education system, and her perspectives as a student, which I think is going to be a wonderful conversation and give us an opportunity to have plenty to discuss in terms of how our students are experiencing Gutman. From the Wellness Center, Thursday, May 7th, that's tomorrow, 3:30 to 4:30 also. So a little bit after we start our SGA Live will be the Sex Education Interactive Chat. Courtney has asked that we share this information and invite people to come be a part of that. So we definitely want you to please do that. We also have, continuing every Tuesday, the Yoga and Mindfulness program. So the new video drops every Tuesday at 11:30. You have an opportunity to get your body right, get your yogas right, get your chakras aligned, and all that kind of good stuff. Don't forget, and this is going through the rest of the semester, is the virtual tour that we ask that you please join us online. This is for the historically black colleges and universities, as well as the newly created Hispanic Serving Institution College Tour, which gives us a number of different places to visit that also serve our students well, and we want to make sure that they're aware of that. That being said, Dean Pryor, you alluded to something at the beginning of the telecast, which is that the Sga elections are currently ongoing. Email notices went out to the students in their emails. Public Relations has created a website for us with the candidates. So we're asking our students join. As of today, we have about 75 to 80 participants who have voted. We really need to get that number up to 275 to 300 to pass last year's marks. So I'm encouraging everyone to please put that information out there. And last but not least, Gutman's YouTube page. Gutman Community College has a YouTube page where you can see all of the State of the Grizz videos, all of the SGA Live videos, but especially to Dr. Marcus Allen's comments, the faculty put together a coronavirus quarantine message to the students of support and encouragement that we want people to check out.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm about to say that was definitely a lot, a mouthful. We do have a ton of things going on. So thank you for sharing those things. And we're going to continue to push out emails, students, so that you get plugged in and you know what's going on. It's important that you stay connected not only to the college, but to your friends, to your loved ones, and we hope that you heard many of the messages shared here today. So before we close, I want to continue to say, and I say this at every email, every State of the Grizz, every time that you hear my voice and see my face, we got your back. We're here to support you. If you need something, please reach out. If you have a question, please reach out. If you have a story about things that have worked well for you, please reach. It's important to stay connected and stay plugged in to each other. During this pandemic, the only way that we've been able to do anything is by plugging into the systems, plugging into one another, and using each other as a resource. So please continue to do that. It has absolutely been a pleasure today. Thank you again to Dr. Allen. Thank you to Nestor for moderating and running the show as seamlessly as you have each week. And thank you to everyone that checked in live, and a shout out to those that are going to check in and watch this on the YouTube channel that Nestor just shared in the chat. So again, it's been a pleasure coming to you, as Nestor always says, from the home office in Orange, New Jersey, and his home office in Brooklyn, New York. This was State of the Grizz. Grizzlies, we got your back, and I hope to see you next Wednesday at 3 p.m. for our next edition of State of the Grizz. Be well, Grizzlies.